Hey guys, it's Will here. I just wanted to talk about this article that I just saw, and this is in the UK and spreading to other countries. Schools are banning best friends to protect students' feelings. So I remember 10 plus years ago hearing about, millennials or whatever that were all given a trophy when they played soccer so that they didn't feel bad, like instead of having one team win. And they would all get trophies and they'd stop keeping score. And I thought it was kind of funny and sad at the time, but things have kind of progressed a lot further than that. And so article was scary but funny in a way, but sad that they're banning best friends. Because if you have a best friend, then that means other people aren't your best friends, so they feel bad. And so they don't want you to have best friends. And the other thing they mentioned here, and I don't have kids, so I don't know about a lot of this stuff that's been going on, but you're not allowed, if you have a party, like a birthday party or something, you have to invite the whole class. You can't just pick, your closer friends. So, I mean, it's wrong on so many levels. I mean, if you have a party at your own house, it's your right to invite whoever you want. But the fact that it's focusing on feelings, and so I noticed, the reason I'm bringing this up is there's that social justice warrior aspect. There's a lot of progress has been made in various areas that I agree with, but it got to a point now where it's going beyond normal levels of this type of situation. So focusing on feelings, and it's very, I don't like to think in terms of left and right anymore, or conservative, Democrat, or whatever. I like to think of it in terms of using reason, logic, facts versus emotion and feelings, and at a deeper level, individualism versus collectivism. So when you're looking at groups of people as the concern, which isn't really a physical thing, there's only individuals, but you talk about the collective or the common good or society. It's not a tangible thing. It's just a bunch of individuals. So when you're using emotion to improve society, it can feel good. It can seem like the right thing to do. Giving people money, let's say, that's there's poor people and they need money. Let's give them money. And the one thing I noticed is that let's say that the left or those people that use emotion, they kind of demonize the other side as if they don't care, but it's really about which approach is the best to benefit the most number of people. So I'm off topic here in a sense, but it's related. This article just demonstrates the focus on emotions and feelings, and there's like the safe spaces and all that stuff. So nobody's supposed to feel bad or get exposed to different opinions that might make them feel bad. And then they equate that with violence, even though it's not physical. And that's a really dangerous line to cross when you say that, if you say something that causes somebody emotional distress, whether it's proper or not, that's the same as physical violence, because then those people feel justified using violence against language, which is really scary because we have to promote free speech. But when you look at something like minimum wage, it sounds really good. Let's give people more money per hour, right? Let's help the people who have families and they want to make more money. But what's happening is, and I've even experienced this with my own family, is that the company, because this is increasing their costs, they have to figure out ways to alleviate this. One way would be to raise prices, right? And so some people would say, well, that's okay, I'll pay a little bit more for some stuff, but if it helps these people. But what's happening in actual anecdotal situation, and even in some of the studies, is that they will lay off people, and the people that are remaining, who get the 15 hour or whatever it is, will be having to take up the slack and work a lot even harder. So the people that are still there are benefiting, but a lot of people get laid off because they're not really bringing the value. So $15 an hour is kind of like going to determine how much value you bring. or how much the value that the employer expects. So a lot of people can't get chances, like young kids and stuff. They can't get into the workforce because they don't really have any skills. So no one wants to pay them $15 an hour. So a lot of times you'll have older people working in these jobs because they have certain skills from the past. And so it actually damages the overall system. So you've got people losing hours, you got people getting fired because they don't want to pay them the 15 or whatever minimum wage. The other thing is you have a whole chain of people that work at higher levels. So if someone else was making $15 an hour before, like say you have a waitress and then you have a chef or a cook, he was making 15. Well, now if the waitress gets 15, then he wants to make 20 or whatever. So then the whole chain wants to make more money to go up the chain. So, and those costs have to be passed on to the consumer or adjusted for by laying people off and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of things here to talk about, but basically the fact is that you might think you're doing good. There's people like who are obese and they get fed, the family member gets guilted and they bring them food and they end up being sick and they die and they're hundreds and hundreds of pounds and they can't leave the bed. I mean, you think, oh, feeding somebody is good, right? It's helping them. And a lot of times, when you give people money, the incentive to work is really gone. I mean, people need that drive, and the ability to pursue their interests and provide for their family. And I think that, just giving people money isn't the way to go. I mean, we can help people get educated, and with the internet, there's so much amazing information online. I've been learning and getting into some newer technology, computer stuff, programming, that's been coming along for the past few years. So, if we want to help people get access to the internet and to these educational resources, I'm all for that. But I just don't think so. Like, instead of demonizing, let's say, the right or conservatives, a lot of times they actually just think that the capitalism works by opening up the markets for people to pursue their interests and to generate jobs from that drive. And like if you look at what happened in Venezuela, a lot of the successful rich business people left the country to go to Spain, and then there's only so much resources left over, and then eventually that runs out and the people are starving now and they're eating zoo animals and killing animals dogs and cats on the street. And so you've got to have that group of people that want to build a business and develop the business and earn income so that they can be successful. And then that drives a lot of job creation and helps the rest of society indirectly by them pursuing their own interests. And so it's really a difference. What I've realized is, because I was more on the left before, that instead of demonizing the other side, it's actually, just a different philosophy on what will bring the most success. Like, it's not like one side doesn't want anybody to have healthcare. It's the way that it should be done, the best way to make that happen. And in a lot of ways, the left, let's say, the people that want to give free stuff, like, that's actually more harmful, because they're going to be increasing in taxes to provide all the free services, and the people that are getting taxed to death are going to leave and go to other countries. I know people that have gone to Puerto Rico that doesn't have a federal tax to set up. I mean, they're still part of the U.S., but the tax rate for the state is pretty low, and so it affects people's decisions. Whether they start a business, whether they hire anybody, whether they just become an employee instead of starting a business. It's a risk-reward sort of decision. Anyways, I've talked about a lot of things based on this one article, but this focus on feelings and all the things that people think that they're benefiting others by helping them is really not helping them in the long run. So hope you guys like that. Talk to you later.